Hey guys, so there's been a lot of criticism of Nightblades recently because we can't get to the level that sorcerers or dragon knights can, and it's sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's not. I agree that there's a lot of broken stuff in the Nightblade class. We're not where we should be, and there definitely is a lot of problems with stamina-based builds, but I'm here to show you guys, in the meantime, until we're fixed, how you can be competitive in trials, etc. This does involve using a Magicka-based build with staffs, which I know a lot of people will freak out over, but I'm sorry, if you want to be competitive in Endgame, this is the route you're going to have to go. This guide will help you get there and hopefully have you on your way. Alright, so probably the first and most important part of this build is the action bar and skills we use. So first we have spell symmetry here. Basically what it does is you trade some health, you get some magicka, and the magicka you get is significant. The main purpose of this ability is basically to make your DPS sustainable. When you're low on magicka, you get more for some health. This also, in longer fights and stuff, you kind of have to think of it as being a battery. So the healers recharge that battery by healing you, and you expend the battery by dealing damage and using up magicka, and it's kind of a balance there. Other people might argue that you should put siphoning strikes here, or siphoning attacks, whatever it is here. But I find that this does way more DPS because you cast it for 1 second, you get 400 magicka, whereas siphoning strikes, you're taking a 20% hit to your damage, and you have to use multiple strikes. It's really just not worth it. So yeah, I'd pick up spell symmetry here. Then we have Crippling Grasp, which is our main DOT, or damage over time. Like with DPS, DOTs are important, and this can really boost your damage because it's ticking for 70 or 100 or critting. And the thing about this is every time you crit, for some reason Crippling Grasp seems to crit more than other abilities, which is good, and every time you crit you get ultimate, so that's adding to your DPS as well. And it also has an immobilize, if that's useful to you. Pretty good in PvP. And I definitely take the Crippling Grasp morph because it does more damage and hits on impact. And then we have Impale. So this actually adds a surprising amount of DPS in longer fights, like the trials. This is one of our strengths as Nightblades as well, so we might as well play to it, because Nightblades have the best execute. Also, it's an assassination ability, so because of the passive, it adds 3% spell crit, and you'll see that that's important later on. And now, funnel health. This is our main attack we spam. It's the bread and butter. Some people might say that why don't you use concealed blade or surprise attack, because that does more damage on the tooltip, right? But I'm going to say I have 3 or 4 good reasons why I use funnel health. First of all, funnel health is ranged, making you a lot more survivable and making it more practical in trials. They're not really melee range friendly in there. 2, it builds ultimate extremely quickly. Over time, this heal crits a lot, and you get a lot of ultimate from that. Make sure that you take the funnel health morph, by the way, as this one heals others as well, so that gives you even more chance to get some ultimate there. And that means this one adds more DPS in that way. 3, it brings party utility, as while you're DPSing, you can also act kind of as an off heal, because I know in trials you can get around 850 heals per second just by using this, and that's a pretty significant amount. And then what was my last? 4. Oh yeah, it scales off of spell crit. This because some abilities in the Nightblade class skills don't scale off of spell crit. Concealed blades / surprise attack being one of them. So since this is a Magicka based build and crit is really important to us and we want to take full advantage, this funnel health will be a lot better, and overall it'll just do a lot more damage. Now we have Inner Light, and this is a real gem. Basically, you sacrifice 5% of your max Magicka for 20% spell crit. This is absolutely huge, and should always be on. The agreed number is probably about, well actually not probably, but it's 1% spell crit leads to about 0.5% damage increase. So with 20% extra crit, you're getting around 10% extra damage. Plus, with more crits, you gain more ultimate. Also, on this bar, we have 2 Mage's Guild abilities, which means we get an increase of max Magicka by 4%. And on that note, since we have some siphoning abilities, we get another 8% max Magicka from the passive there in siphoning. Now, finally, in my opinion, this is the best skill by Nightblades. This is the one you want to strive to keep up. It's Vail Blades, and for me it's the very definition of ultimate. It basically creates a whirling flux storm of death that hits every half second for 17.3 seconds, and it hits 121 with each tick. So that means over its course you'll hit around 4,000 damage for a single cast. But wait, there's more. Allies in it take 30% less damage, which is a huge help in trials, and more effective than Siege Shield and maybe even Barrier. You gain 100% of that, so instantly you gain 60% damage mitigation. I'm thinking third boss AA here. Oh yeah. On top of that, it snares everything for 70%, so you run into a pack of mobs, drop it, and then those mobs aren't going anywhere fast while your team does the AoE. On top of all that, allies can use a slip away, but let's be real, no one's going to use that. But still, wonderful ability, something you should always keep up. And now, the potion slot. So I use these spell power potions. They boost DPS significantly. I use them on cooldown. They have a spell damage increase, spell crit as well, and they restore Magicka. So now my attributes. So basically, the only way to go about it in Endgame is to put all your points in health. You get a bigger return than any of the other things, and you get the rest, like the Magicka you need, from enchants. So basically 49 points, attribute points in health, and then you have your health soft capped, and then your enchants get your magic up. As you can see, this is a crit build. Actually, let's turn on Inner Light here. So you're sitting at 62, well, I'm sitting at 62% crit, and that is, I'm a Bosmer, so that's without any racial passives or whatever, so you can get even higher. Also, there's other ways to get minuscule amounts higher as well. And then, yeah, that's about all to say here. I use the Thief as my Mundus Stone, which adds more spell crit, or crit in general. Also, use a food buff, because they really help. I use a Fortified Sweet Roll, which is 312 HP and Magicka, so that's how both these are soft capped. And yeah. Alright, now the gear. So, first and foremost, we have the Resto Staff. So, a lot of people might be saying, why aren't I using the Destruction Staff? But every time I've tested it, the Resto Staff has come out on top, and I really do think it's the best DPS for Nightblades, at least. With the Cycle of Life passive, you get 10% more damage while you're full HP, which is big, and you get the utility of being able to restore Magicka with a heavy attack, although I wouldn't recommend it in a Trials rotation because it'll lower your DPS. It's also important to note that you don't use any skills from your weapon, So, you know, a lot of the like impulse or whatever from Destro's staff wouldn't even help you here. So I think the resto staff's a better option. And then for jewelry, definitely go with spell damage. I tried V12 Warlock. I use it for my healing set, but I don't use it for DPS. Basically, you have mana on demand with spell symmetry, and your healers are recharging you. So the spell damage is a lot better. It really takes you to the next level. Now my gear. So basically, all enchants are magicka. Some people prefer to have infused on major pieces and divines on minor. Personally, I haven't tested that myself. The min-maxers are saying that's the way to go, but I'd honestly rather have infused anyways, some more mana. For the set bonuses, I have 3-piece Willow's Path and 5-piece Twilight's Embrace. So there's the Willow's Path set bonus. It adds 5% critical, and then Twilight's Embrace, you get 10% additional healing and 5% critical, so 10% more critical in total, which means 5% more damage for you. You also get the added bonus of more healing to yourself, which is nice in PvP or trials. Now note that I do have a Seducer set and a Magnus set, and I have tested those. I do prefer the one I have equipped right now, the setup I have equipped right now for DPS. I feel like it gives you more DPS, since magicka isn't really a problem. In a trial situation anyways, this might be more viable when you're soloing or whatever, just where mana isn't as plentiful. Alright, so now for the rotation that you use, because that's important. Basically, your DPS is going to rely on weaving your spells together with light attacks, or animation canceling, whatever you want to call it. It really does boost your DPS. So basically with the rotation, you're going to want to lay down Crippling Grasp at the beginning and then keep it up, but whenever you need to reapply it, also weave it with a light attack, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes, and then, or whatever, anyways. So you're going to want to apply your Crippling Grasp, and then basically the rotation is just light attack and then funnel health, light attack and then funnel health. You do the light attack before the animation finishes totally, but long enough so that it hits, and then you use funnel health to cancel the animation, and you get 2 hits for 1. And yeah, you always have to do this, you always have to weave, and once they're under 25% health, you switch to Impale, but you don't just spam Impale. You weave it with your light attack. So light attack, Impale, light attack, Impale, light attack, Impale, and keep doing that for the most DPS. When you're low on mana, you weave a light attack with a spell symmetry. Don't just start spamming spell symmetry. Everything, it takes quite a bit of skill to, you know, control yourself, and remember to do this. And remember to keep Vail Blades up as much as possible. So you might not have 100% uptime, but it should be up pretty often, especially with all the ultimate you're going to be gaining. Like, I mean, maybe a 10-second, 5-second gap in between Vail Blades. And basically, remember to use your potions. Like, I can't stress this enough. ZeniMax threw us a bone when they buffed the Catalyst passive with 30% more effective potions now. So each potion basically gives you a god mode for 10 seconds. You're basically at 100% crit, you get more damage, and some mana to start you off for that burn. So in an ideal world, you could have potions up for a third of the battle, which can be a huge DPS boost. Alright, so we've gone through the build. Now I'm going to show you the results. Basically what this build is capable of. I do most of my testing for DPS on these mammoths right here in East March, just because on the AD side they're plentiful and they're the only elite mob I found offhand quickly. So basically most of my DPS numbers anyways are going to be based off these mammoths. That's how I did my testing, just so it's consistent. And yeah, I'll just show you the full rotation now and how it pans out, I guess. And then I'll show you some screenshots of some of my best runs before I started filming, stuff like that. And I also have, because people will say, okay, it's only a level 4 mammoth. Although the damage doesn't change much, I'll show you some trials runs as well, because it's a lot more hectic in there, and what you can find, because I recently did a trials run, took some screenshots there. So yeah, it's basically with the mammoth, gonna come up, same thing, crippling grasp, weave my light attacks, weave the light attacks, weave the light attacks, keep doing that, watch my mana, get out of the AoE. Gonna use spell symmetry. Keep going. Keep going. Alright, he's down to 23. Spam my impale. Light attacks impale. And that time it was only 630 DPS. Well, I have 3 separate DPS meters here. So with an average it was around 650 DPS. You can definitely do better. Basically, like I didn't get to drop Vail Blades there, didn't use my potions, but you get the idea now. Alright, let's give this a go here. Oh, I missed one of my weaves. It happens though. And now spell symmetry. Execute range. So that time it was probably an average of 750 DPS there. Alright, so now I'm going to try with potions and Vail Blades. We'll see how this goes. So crippling grasp, potion, drop my ultimate, weave, 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 get out of the AoE, and then impale, impale. And that was about 1k DPS. So we got the 3 DPS meters here. There's the statistics if you want to know those. So probably an average, yeah, okay, an average of 1k. Probably 1k 40 or so. You can see that with the crit potions, you're pretty much approaching 100% crit with funnel health and Vail Blades. Funnel health is the biggest damage ability, Vail Blades is second. Impale does that a lot. And then light attack, weaving in. And yeah, so that's 1k, but this is mammoths and they're elites, but they're not as strong as the boss monsters in trials, so don't expect to get this in trials. So your DPS would be significantly lower, maybe 700, 800, I don't know. Depends how focused you are. But yeah, it just shows the Nightblades can be viable and can be competitive.
Block caught you on the trap now.